Welcome to the Selling from the Heart podcast on the Salescast Network. You've joined a global movement of sales professionals who are dedicated to being authentic and building trust. We call it Selling from the Heart. Together, we are on a mission to bring sincerity and substance to the sales profession we all love. Get ready to be inspired and equipped as we join our hosts, Larry Levine and Darrell Amy.
Hey there, it's Larry, and I'm thrilled to share something incredibly close to my heart. My latest book, Selling in a Post-Trust World, is now available. In today's landscape where trust is harder to come by than ever, I've poured my years of experience into these pages to guide you through connecting genuinely and building lasting relationships with your customers. This book is more than just strategies. It's about transforming the way you sell by being authentic, real, and trustworthy in every interaction. It's for those who believe that integrity and sales can go hand in hand, and for anyone looking to not just meet their quotas, but to truly make a difference in their customers' lives. If you're ready to elevate your sales game and navigate the complexities of selling in a world where skepticism is the norm, Selling in a Post-Trust World is your must-read guide. And here's the best part. Even though it won't hit the bookstores until this summer, you can get your hands on an advanced reader's copy right now. Just head over to sellinginapostrustworld.com or click the link in the show notes, and let's embark on this journey together towards more meaningful, trust-based selling.
Hello, and welcome back to the Selling from the Heart podcast. Your co-host, Darrell Amy, here today with Larry Levine. What's going on, Larry?
It's another fabulous day. You're not in your studio. I know you're out on the road. We're in for a treat today with Gretchen Gordon, Darrell.
We have got the happy sales manager in the studio today. You're going to love this conversation with Gretchen Gordon. Shout out to everybody in the Selling from the Heart community. And Larry, one thing I love about this movement of authenticity in the sales profession is we're getting to meet some of the coolest sales professionals and sales leaders all over the world.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's one I just want to give a special shout out to because Selling from the Heart takes on a whole new meaning with this person, Ben St. Clair. You're one amazing individual. I still remember years ago when you held the Selling from the Heart book up and threw it out on social. It's been awesome. Thank you for your friendship and your support here at Selling from the Heart.
Hear, hear. It is so cool to see the community that's rising up around Selling from the Heart. And I'll tell you another thing that's cool. And if you're just picking up on Selling from the Heart and you missed the last couple episodes, you're going to be excited to know that Larry's new book is now available for pre-release copies. We call them advanced readers editions. They're autographed. The book doesn't officially release until August, but if you're a listener to this podcast, you can get your hands on Larry's new book. And Larry, what's that book called?
It's Selling in a Post-Trust World. In the subtitles, discover the soft skills that yield hard dollars. I will break down the trust formula around authentic relationships and meaningful value, bringing an inspirational experience of being disciplined with it, all around the goal of building trust.
So you can actually we have a limited number of these. You can get your hands on an advanced reader's edition of Selling in a Post-Trust World. The book, we'll ship it to you. It'll be autographed. And when you go to sellinginapostrustworld.com, there's actually some super cool bulk order bonuses. So if you've got a sales team and you want to get copies for your team, we've got some really, really cool things. You got to go to the website to find out. You're going to get stoked when you see what's available. And I'm so excited to get this book in all of our friends' hands. Sellinginapostrustworld.com for your copy. Larry, thank you for once again sitting down and writing all this stuff out. It's a lot of work, but I know this is going to be a tremendous gift to the sales world.
This was well worth it. This takes the foundation of Selling from the Heart and just layers upon it and layers upon it. I promise you this, you will enjoy reading. It does pack a punch.
Sellinginapostrustworld.com. You can find the link in the show notes. Speaking of exciting new books, today we're excited to feature our friend Gretchen Gordon. She's the author of The Happy Sales Manager, Drive Sales, Lead Your Team with Ease, and Have Fun. This is a 5-star rated best-selling book that was just released in September of 2023. Gretchen wrote this book to transform the sales management experience offering practical advice for overcoming common challenges. From mastering job essentials to inspiring teams and handling underperformers, this book serves as a roadmap for sales managers seeking success and satisfaction in their roles. Gretchen's insights are invaluable for anybody looking to improve their leadership skills and enjoy their job once again. So if you're ready to lead with confidence, or you think that someday you might want to be a sales leader and you want to get your life back, join us as we explore key takeaways from the Happy Sales Manager with Gretchen Gordon. Gretchen, welcome to the Selling from the Heart studios. It is great to have you here.
Thanks, Darrell. Thanks, Larry. I'm thrilled to be here.
I just love it. We're all color. So if you're listening, you can't see it. If you're watching, you can see it. We are all color coded. Well, Darrell and I are in Selling from the Heart colors. Gretchen's sporting the colors that Gretchen has on her book. This is awesome.
This is going to be a fun conversation. And to kick it off, Gretchen, you know the question that every guest on the Selling from the Heart podcast answers. And that is, what does it mean to you to sell from the heart?
What it means to me to sell from the heart is that it's not tips and tricks. It's just being a person talking to another person.
Oh, hey, Gretchen, you know what I love about what you just said? But here, it's always the simple things are yet the hardest things to implement. It's just a person talking to another person. So I'm going to flip this around. I'm going to throw Gretchen Gordon on the spot, but I know you can handle it. Where does it go wrong?
It goes wrong because people think that they're supposed to be something that they're not. And it goes wrong because there's just a lot of noise out there that says, do this, try this, say this, be like me. And we can't be like that person. We have to be ourselves. You know, that person's already taken. So it goes wrong when you try to be something you're not. And honestly, I think it spirals out of control because then the individual who's trying to mimic what, superstar supposed salesperson is doing, loses their confidence because their mindset says that's not me, but they're trying to do something that isn't natural. So I think that's where it goes wrong. And then it goes way wrong because then there's no trust built and then they're not successful and they don't, they focus on the wrong things. They're not focused on the other party trying to help them. They're focused on
that's so true. Yeah, that's so true. And I'm having flashbacks to my early sales career when, they said, memorize this, do this, dress this way. And I did all those things and I did okay. But I think at some point I realized that I've got to be myself if I'm going to really move this thing forward. And this is what I love about this movement of authenticity here in the sales profession and in sales leadership. And that brings us to the topic today, the Happy Sales Manager. Thank you so much, first of all, for writing this book, because I know as a sales manager, I was very unhappy. Tell me, what does it take to be a happy sales manager? Because that is a tough role.
Nope, you're exactly right. And actually, the reason I wrote the book, because I was also an unhappy sales manager, stressed out, frustrated, didn't know where to turn, didn't know what to do. So many managers don't know what they don't know because no one's ever taught them, trained them, coached them. And you think that just doing what you did as a salesperson, working hard, focusing on the goal, that type of thing, whatever it was, that you could just tell the salespeople on your team to do what you did. And that just, it doesn't work. And it just creates a lot of stress and frustration. So my mission is with the book and, working with sales teams, including the sales leaders and the sales managers, is that to get people to understand that their life as a sales manager doesn't have to suck. And, a lot of people believe that it's, it can't get any better. It's I'm babysitting my salespeople. They won't do what I tell them to do. They ask too many questions. They don't follow the process. They don't update the CRM, and it just can weigh on you. So the secret there's lots of things you can do, but it's really adopting a different mindset than one had as a salesperson. It's really focused on the team as opposed to me as an individual. Can't focus on me. I got to focus on them.
And hey, Gretchen, I'm glad you brought up mindset. So let's just start there if we can and unpack this, because where does that sales manager / sales leader who has to adjust their mindset, because maybe they went from sales into sales management, where do they start in reframing their mindset to say, you know what? I am in sales, but I'm in a different role. I have to adjust my mindset. Where do they all start to reframe all of this? Help us unpack that.
Yeah. So I'm glad you asked that, because probably the first thing that is critical is to realize that they are two different roles, right? Being in sales requires different skill sets and different mindset than being in sales management or sales leadership role does. Coaching, holding people accountable, motivating, inspiring, those types of things are not things you correlate to being a salesperson. You're just worried about motivating yourself, and you don't worry about the rest of the group. So it's really orienting oneself, first of all, to realize that they have to recognize they may not have all of the tools in their toolkit to be as effective as a sales manager as they were when they were a salesperson. And that's sometimes hard to accept, and that might be damaging to the ego that may have been built up because they were successful as a salesperson. So I would say that's number one. And then, taking on that mindset that like, hey, I might need to learn some things. And number two, really focusing on the fact that not everybody on their team is going to be just like them. So, there's not a cookie cutter model for success on the sales team. And sometimes when we get promoted into sales management from sales, we're so focused on what I did to be successful that they think that everybody on the sales team should just do what they did. So they end up telling people, well, I did this, do it this way. And that's rarely effective, because unless they have a bunch of, copycat salespeople that got spit out of a machine, they're all made up differently. So they have to understand individually what makes each one tick.
Wow. I can testify 100% that what you're talking about does not work because I tried it and I failed miserably at it. And wow, where were you 25 years ago, Gretchen?
I was doing that. I was making the
same thing. So true. So coaches, and by the way, in the audience, we've got obviously sales leaders. We have some sales professionals who are thinking about, hey, someday I'd like to be a sales leader, or maybe someone's knocking on their door, tapping them on the shoulder saying, hey, would you consider a leadership position in the company? So where do you begin when let's just go to that person who's thinking about being a sales leader? They're the number one performer. So leadership, the company's looking at them going, we want more of you. And that's usually how it all begins. So what would you say to that person who's considering sales leadership as a career move? How do you get started in the right direction around mindset?
I think what you have to do is it may be the correlation to a sports team. Are you comfortable? Do you want to be on a football team? Do you want to be the guy who is throwing the passes, catching the passes, running with the football? And gosh, it just sounds great to be the manager, because then I can tell everybody else, I'll still be the center of attention, but I could tell them how to support me. Or are you more inclined to think like a coach? more inclined to think about, okay, how can this receiver be more effective? How can this quarterback do the things they need to do with their, they need to change their drop or whatever? And how can this running back hit the holes better? That's the fundamental difference. So I guess I would start with the mindset of take an inventory of yourself, first of all, and be honest about what is going to give you energy, and therefore you can give energy to the rest of the organization. And if it is not, I really, truly am excited about helping Bob and Mary and Frank and Joe be more successful, then maybe you're not ready for it. Not to say that you can't learn those things, but you got to be honest with yourself about that. So you have to start first with that mindset of leading, not doing. And it's not always easy to go from do to now step back and coach and lead and allow others to make mistakes that you certainly wouldn't make, of course, because you're the great salesperson, right? But you got to get comfortable in, that. So if they can start to think about what that would feel like and look like, that's a great place to start from a mindset perspective.
It's almost like sitting down with a pad of paper in front of a mirror and saying, right, I'm going to look at myself, right? I'm looking at myself and I'm looking at the window inside my mind and going, where are my strong points? Where are my weak points? Where am I comfortable at? Where am I uncomfortable at? If I think I get where you're going with this, that'd be the first thing I would do. If I'm that person, I'm going, okay, I may start thinking about this. I'm just doing an honest assessment on me, strengths and weaknesses, what makes me comfortable, what makes me uncomfortable. Am I tracking with you on this?
Yep. That's a fantastic place to start. And you bring something up, Larry, that makes me think about one of the things that we see that trips up sales leaders a lot, sales managers and leaders a lot, is that they want everybody to like them. And
I'm so glad, hey, Gretchen, I'm so glad we could laugh about it. We're laughing about it now, but it's so true.
That's hard. It is so hard.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know, Darrell, you may have I know from my personal experience that that's what drove me a lot to make a lot of the mistakes that I made, because I was too worried about what when I was, first a sales manager, what are the salespeople thinking about me, and how am I being received, as opposed to focusing on the overarching goal, which is how are we going to accomplish the results that we want and build the confidence and the competence of the team that reports to me. I didn't want to be the bad guy. And that's what the framework was in my mind, that if you correct, or if you give feedback, or if you say, hey, you didn't do what you were supposed to do, you're somehow being the bad guy. So you have to, along the lines of your question, Larry, another mindset issue is you have to focus on doing sometimes the uncomfortable or the difficult things to enable the people on your team to execute at the highest level. Hold them accountable to the behaviors that they need to do or the activities that they need to do to be successful. And that's a change. It's hard.
It's super hard, especially if it's a team that you came up through and all of a sudden you're in charge. There's so many dynamics there. And I'm also just thinking about and remembering back to the feeling of lack of control, because when I was a sales professional, I controlled everything, right? I could control my level of activity, my motivation, my personal development, my commitment, all of those things. And so my income was really directly affected by my effort. Then when I became a sales manager, I didn't know this was going to happen, but all of a sudden I realized my income and my success is related to other people's activity, motivation, willingness to learn. And it was a really, really hard thing for me at first. And anytime I've been in that sales leadership position, I've done it a couple times in my career. You're like, what, what, all of a sudden I just gave away all this control and I'm depending on other people now to hit my number. Coach a new sales leader on what to do about that. Cause it felt like a very displaced, frustrating place for me when I went through that.
Yeah, it can be super unsettling to feel like you're in charge of your destiny. And then all of a sudden you've got these people who are in charge of your destiny. And they might not be carrying the load as you would. One of the biggest pitfalls that can happen is that the new leader steps in and rescues, or, feels like, oh, well, I got to go on every sales call with these sales reps because they're not going to be able to get it done. And what happens then is it's a perpetuating cycle of diminished ability on the sales people's part, more dependence on the sales manager, and frustration because all of a sudden everybody's reliant on you to do their job. And then you feel like, okay, I got to do it more because they're not successful doing it. So I gotta sell more. And, so if you're new into the role, recognize, I guess, that there's going to be a potential tendency to want to fix, rescue, take charge, drive business. But that's not what you're in the role for. What you're in the role for is to help everybody else on your team be able to rise up and be more successful, close more business. And there might be a little bit of a dip for a while where it might feel like you're out of control. But if you stay the course, focus on the core components of motivating or inspiring the individuals on your team individually, holding them accountable to the behaviors that they need to exhibit, coaching them on a regular basis to upskill. And then if you're in the hiring mode, hire effectively as well. It will turn around, and all of a sudden you'll have a team of highly successful, well-oiled, executing at a higher level than you could individually. And that's really where the excitement comes. But you gotta kind of stay the course in the beginning and force yourself through that discomfort of not being in control of your destiny.
Oh, I love this. And I want to continue this conversation because I like that you use rescuer. I'm thinking a hero, and it's all these sales managers and sales leaders who get thrust into that role or may still have that mindset. Man, I got to go on this call with Darrell. He's right at that closing point. I know if I'm there, I'm going to help him push this over, help her push this over right to the other side. So where can a sales manager, sales leader, what are some tips they can do? Because you said stay the course, and sometimes it's going to be hard to stay the course. People are going to have to bite their tongue or bite their fingers or do whatever they need to do. But what are a couple tips that could just keep them just pushing through this and persevering through this so they don't wear that hero cape on every call?
Yeah, so I would say there's really specifically from a coaching perspective, the more you can gain more comfort as the manager if you do a really great job of preparing with the salesperson for the sales call. So practice, hey, Gretchen, what are you going to say when the prospect says this? Or what are you going to do when the prospect raises this objection? And that does two things. Rather than you constantly rescuing, needing to go on that call, you don't have to now. And so you're exponentially more beneficial to the whole team. But you've also just raised the competence and the confidence of the individual salesperson. And now you have more confidence in them as a leader, because you've done the work ahead of time to practice and get them ready for it.
I think this is so brilliant. And I'm just thinking right now, this sports analogy, we're in baseball season right now as this is releasing. Just imagine if the batting coach for your favorite baseball team looked at the guy that's coming up to bat and said, "Get out of here. I can do, let me show you how to do this." Everyone would go, you'd be like, "You're nuts." This is the beautiful thing that I see about this. And for those who are in sales leadership and those thinking about it, you have the opportunity to move from winning as an individual to winning as a team. And there's something special about winning as a team. I'd love, to be the all-star batter and all that is fantastic. To be the team that wins the division and the World Series, that's really that's the big time. And that's where the opportunity is with this shift in mindset. So as we wrap this up, we just got a couple of minutes left. What are some other things that our sales leaders listening in can do to ratchet up their level of happiness other than buy this book?
Well, that's number one, first and foremost, right?
This book will make you happy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got a smiley face on the cover. My goodness. It
For
makes
goodness
you happy
sake.
just looking at it, Gretchen.
Hey, by the way, Gretchen, really quick, when they order your book, does it come with a smiley face sweater as well as a bonus item?
No, but if really nice people could get a smiley face stress ball.
Sorry, I just had to go there.
All right. So stress ball is one thing. I could have used one of those back in the day. What are a couple other things that sales leaders can do that find themselves stressed out right now and in an unhappy place to kind of turn things around?
Yeah, I think they need to go back to let's say the basics, right? So let's back up. Well, even before you back up, you got to take an inventory of, am I actually willing to change? And the reason I say that is because there's an awful lot of sales managers, sales leaders who have been in the role for a while, or maybe they've been in it for a little while, and they are just doing what they've always done. So, you're going to get the results that you've always gotten, which could be stress, frustration, unhappiness, and an underperforming sales team. So you first have to go, okay, what do I need to change? What is not satisfying? What's not working very well? And be granular about it. Be very focused on what is frustrating me about this job right now. And frequently we think it's the people that work for us. It's the people that report to us, but more frequently than not, it's us. It's our attitudes about things. It's our mindset about what's going on, and our inability or unwillingness to change and grow and do something different. And, that's probably the biggest thing that any sales leader needs to constantly be willing to do, which is grow, change, adapt, be malleable. You don't just get there and then all of a sudden, oh, I've made it. I'm a sales manager and I'm at the top of the mountain. So that would be the biggest thing, is to get out of your own way and put your ego on the shelf and go, what do I need to change to help my team execute at a higher level?
So good. Gretchen, what a great conversation. I can't wait for sales leaders and aspiring sales leaders in our community to get their hands on this book. So the question I have for you as we wrap this up is, Gretchen, how can folks get more Gretchen Gordon in their lives?
Yeah, probably the easiest thing to do is go to thehappysalesmanager.com, and you can download a chapter of the book for free. You can be taken where you can purchase the book if you want. There's also a workbook that's a companion to the book that you could download to put all of the elements into practice. And there's a place that you can sign up and get management tips by text once a week, and you can get our newsletter on a monthly basis that has to do with sales leadership and sales management. And Wonderful. you can always just connect with me on LinkedIn too, Gretchen Gordon.
That's super generous. Gretchen, thank you so much for, number one, taking the time to put this book together. It's a real gift to the sales leadership community. And thank you for sharing time with us today. This has been fantastic.
Thank you. It's been a blast. I loved it.
Thanks, Gretchen.
Awesome.
Talk to you soon.
What a great time.
Hey,
happy sales leader.
You know what I was just thinking about? I had flashbacks where I was, my prior life is I was that salesperson who went from the number one salesperson to being a manager. And I tell you what, I was so ill prepared for all of this stuff. I had the wrong mindset. Everyone needs to do like I do. Right. And oh my gosh. I said, after 1 year, I tapped out. I said, get me the heck out of here.
Well, hey, just imagine if Gretchen's book had been around back then. It would have been good. One thing I do want to say as we wrap up is to all the salespeople that are listening in, I just want to encourage you, be nice to your manager. It's a hard role. I know, sometimes I think as sales professionals, we think sales managers, just sit around having 3-hour lunches and playing golf. It is a tough role. So say thank you to your sales manager. Do your best to cooperate. Maybe you want to get them a copy of the book, The Happy Sales Manager, as a gift. It can be a fantastic idea, but the more you can support your sales manager, this is your coach. And if you're on a sports team, you're gonna treat your coach well, or you probably won't get played in the game. But you're going to treat your coach well. So I really want to encourage our sales leaders. We're talking about selling from the heart, or sales professionals. We're talking about selling from the heart. We want to do that with our clients, but make sure that flows upstream to your sales leader as well. Be a source of encouragement to them. But why not set a goal to be the one that's actually making your sales leader's life happy, and not the people that are making their lives unhappy? I think there's a tremendous opportunity here to be a leader in your culture as a sales rep, encouraging your sales leader.
Hey, I just thought about this. So here's what I'm going to encourage everyone to do. How about, right after this, right after you've watched this or listened to it, go to your sales manager and just ask your sales manager, hey, thank you, right? Thank you for, helping me out and all this. I just got a quick question. What can I do to help you out? How can I make you a little bit more happy in your role? What can I do? And then watch what happens. And then watch what happens all of a sudden when they either hit their head on the back of the wall or they sit up straight in their chair, because they're not going to expect it.
I got an idea, Larry, and maybe at some point we'll launch a national or international Thank Your Sales Leaders Day. We've got days for teachers, nurses, police officers. Why don't we have a Thank Your Sales Leader Day? We'll start working on that. Maybe
Gretchen, Gretchen, you got to start that one.
Hey, thank you to everybody who's liking, sharing, and most of all, reviewing the podcast on the platform on which you listen. It helps us spread this movement of authenticity in the sales profession. And this is all about building trust. And so you want to make sure to be one of the first people to get your hands on Larry's latest book, Selling in a Post-Trust World. It's a complete playbook on building trust at every level of the sales process. You can get it at sellinginapostttrustworld.com. Larry, I've seen the roster of upcoming guests. This is going to be an amazing summer at Selling from the Heart. So you want to make sure to stay tuned.
Yeah, y'all are in for a treat, because we work really hard to bring new voices, fresh ideas, people you may not have heard of before coming on the podcast, sharing their pearls of wisdom as they invest their time with our community.
You bet. So make sure to like and subscribe. Till next time, thanks for being genuine. Keep being authentic. Keep building trust. Be a happy sales leader. And most of all,
sell from the heart.